June on the farm brought warmth, sunshine, and an abundance of rain. After an intense drought here in southern Appalachia, weeks of steady summer showers were more than welcome. With the rain came new life everywhere we looked. Our garden finally began to thrive, stretching toward the sun after months of waiting. Even more exciting, our goat Tootsie gave birth to 3 healthy kids. Hello. Watching them explore the world on unsteady legs has been a joyful reminder of the wonder found in life's beginnings. One of the greatest lessons farm life has taught me is the cyclical nature of the world around us. For everything, there is a season. A season for planting, a season for growth, a season for rest, and a season for letting go. Alongside all this new life, our family also experienced loss with the passing of our beloved cat Luna. Grief and joy often walked hand in hand this month, existing side by side with hope and gratitude. Such is the rhythm of life on a farm. As summer breathes the landscape back to life, we are reminded to cherish each season for what it brings. Welcome to Otter Springs Farm.
So if you're looking for a how-to guide, you're not going to find it here. And there are so many amazing YouTube creators that you could go and watch that for small farming. This is kind of more like a how we do it, and then maybe learning from some of our mistakes. We've had the property for about 6 years, and during that time, we spent a few years rewilding a portion of the land, and we saw otters come back and beavers come back and bobcats, and it's been amazing, and we still upkeep that for conservation. So at the moment we have geese and ducks, which are heritage breeds, and we do breed them. And then we have goats and chickens, and we are massively downsizing our chicken flock. This might be controversial, but I think if I could go back in time, I wouldn't do chickens. I don't really enjoy them. And we have great chickens, but they're not my favorite things. And we are swimming in eggs, and people are like, you should just sell them. But honestly, that's a really oversaturated market here. It doesn't really make sense for us to go through all of that. So they're gonna go to great homes and some friends, and I'm really excited about that. To me, duck eggs taste the same as chicken eggs. I know some people disagree with that. I just think the yolk is bigger, and we mostly use eggs for baking, and duck eggs are preferable for baking, so it just makes sense. So we do have a few specific goals for the farm. At the top tier is conservation. So like I said, we have a portion of the land that we will keep wild for native plants, for forest, for animals. And then we really want to be conscious of our farming practices. We have a wonderful, huge creek that's like, some people call it a river, it's a creek, but we want to make sure that that stays healthy. So that means, one, being good caretakers of this land, but then also being really mindful of how we farm. One of the ways that we do that is we are reusing and repurposing everything that we can when building structures. So that includes like our raised beds and the structures that we're building for our animals. We don't want to compromise safety, but when we can use material that is already on the property, or when friends have excess, when we had a friend who took down a barn recently and had some excess wood, that is what we are going to utilize, which means it's not as aesthetically pleasing as it maybe could be, but it's very important to us.
But obviously, in terms of water management, we are trying to be very mindful of things like runoff, and then also the types of soils and things that we are using in our garden.
Hey, I don't know if this is information you'd want to have, but you were fully dangling in honeysuckle right now. I am going to make some focaccia today, so I'm going to get some herbs and some nasturtium and to put on top, because I love doing like artwork on the top of my focaccia, and I'm going to try some different flavors this week as well. So I will link the recipe that I always use, and you can add kind of whatever flavoring you want to that. We always do minced garlic and onion. It's just really versatile. Our family loves it. But I just signed on to do a bunch of loaves for a wedding, and so I want different flavors. So we're going to try a Parmesan this week. I might do a roasted tomato, and then I want to do like a sweet one, so like honey.
Speaking of honey, I was so sure we were going to get a wild hive. We have been trying to attract a wild hive to our beehive by using things like lemongrass essential oil, and just kind of following everything that I can read in books. I was so sure that we were going to get a swarm, but we haven't seen any. It was around the same time that Tootsie was giving birth, so I think there was just too much human activity, and that's probably why. I'm really disappointed, but you know, you live and learn.
Okay, let's take a minute and talk about how we supplement feed for our livestock while I make dinner for us. So for our geese and our goats, we are supplementing with river cane, which has historically been used as an alfalfa alternative in the region, and it's very prevalent here. It's amazing. I'm not really worried about us over harvesting it, as long as we're still being mindful about how we forage, and we're using every single bit of that plant. So while the geese and the goats are eating those leaves, we're using the stalks to build structure in our garden. Now, as far as our chickens and our ducks are concerned, they are free range, as literal as you can get. So they're going around the woods near the house and staying near their water source, which is an important thing to remember. Yes, we have that creek that I keep talking about, but it's separated by a large field and a dirt road. Because of that, I'm not really worried about them interacting with wildfowl. So the ducks can just go on their way and find all the slugs they want. My garden's happy, they're happy.
Zach and I wanted to get back to basics and really cultivate an old-fashioned summer. So that meant eating raspberries directly off the vine as soon as they were ripe, spending hours in the creek with our kids, going into the woods, building forts. This is entirely why we're here. This is how memories are made. When I say old-fashioned summer, I think what I really mean is getting back to a sense of being in the moment and hope. Because here's the thing. If you are going to succeed as a small farmer, you have to have compassion at the forefront of every decision that you make. It is more than grit. And yes, you might be successful monetarily, but it's definitely not going to feel fulfilling. And this life is hard. It is so hard, but it is so worth it. And I find the more that I'm out here and the more that compassion is the driving force of every decision that I make, the more I want to go back to a life that's more analog, where I'm not feeling so tied down to my phone and subscription services. I just don't buy into the idea that I have to have every new contraption of modernity simply because progress was stamped across the side of it. If it's not bringing fulfillment to my life, I don't want it.
So I know there's a question of whether or not we're going to disbud our kid goats, and I want to talk about that really quick. The decision was kind of made for us. The herd that we have now, that we're so lucky to have, they kind of fell into our laps, and they are all disbudded. And we have now witnessed firsthand what a disadvantage it is to integrate horned goats with disbudded goats. This herd originally came with 2 younger goats who were actually Tootsies, and they had their full horns, and when they would butt heads with Jim, our main male, he was very badly banged up. And that's just something that goats naturally do. So with that in mind, just for the overall safety of the whole herd, we have decided to go ahead and disbud. Now, this is a working farm. They are dairy goats. We don't plan on showing them, but you can't show dairy goats if they are not disbudded. You can register them, you just can't show them. And while that's not on our radar, that is something I want to bring up to consider. Fully respect anyone who would make the decision not to disbud. It's not a decision that we're taking lightly, but just for transparency, that is what we're doing. I cannot believe we are already halfway through the month, and it feels like fall outside right now. The ducks are happy about it as well. I get it's not normal. I'm going to choose to just enjoy it. It's in like the mid 70s. There's a cool breeze. It's cloudy. I have a stew going on in the crock pot right now. Like, what is life? And then it doesn't help. Today I started the prep work for our harvest festival that we have in October in the field, where we have like old-fashioned harvest games and a trick-or-treat trail and all this stuff for our community. And it's our biggest event that we do every year, and I think it's the highlight of our year as a family. But yeah, it's tripping me out right now.
And that trend continued with great weather. all of the rain that we got just brought on so much life. I felt like our garden and our fruit trees were just teeming with possibility, and it felt like a 180 from where we started off this month, which I mentioned prior. We spent a lot of days in the field, a lot of days at the creek, and just doing farm chores together. One of the things we did together was introduce the goslings into the rest of the flock, and I always get nervous, but they did great. But if I had to pick a favorite thing about this month, it would be catching fireflies with my kids. And you're gonna have to trust me, they were there. I tried to film them, it didn't pick up. I keep reading articles about how they're going extinct and we need to garden with them in mind. So I felt so privileged that I've never seen so many on the farm. And that's what I wanna leave you with just this sense of hope and possibility for the month ahead. Bye for now.